You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. I really, truly mean it. I say it every week because I mean it. I wouldn't say it if I didn't. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've got a great interview this week today. I'm talking to Brian from the Shootouts, who are a great band. If you're into country music in any capacity, you should check them out. And if you're into some wild guitar playing, you should also check them out. So even if you don't think you're a country fan, give them a listen. I think you're going to appreciate what they're doing. It's very, very, very cool. And we'll get more into that on the episode. But before I do, just a little bit of business to get out of the way. Well, not so much business, but more a request. I could use some reviews. I know I don't ask for those very often. I should probably ask every episode the way most podcasts do. But I would really appreciate if you could throw me a review wherever you listen to this show. I know it seems kind of weird and kind of redundant, especially if you've done it before, but it really does help a lot with new listeners because people will come to the show, they'll look at it and they'll go, the last review on this was from 6 months ago. Is this show even still a thing? And fresh reviews help them know that, yes, this is still an active thing. And yes, people are still enjoying it. So that really helps a lot. So please throw me some stars on Spotify if that's where you listen. Throw me a review on Apple if that's where you listen, as well as some stars. I would appreciate that as well. Or whatever your preferred player asks for. Please go ahead, take a few minutes right now. Before we get into this episode, please just take a few seconds and do that for me. It would help immensely. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone that's done that. All right. Let's stop dilly-dallying so we can do more jibber-jabbering with Brian from the Shootouts. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Brian Poston from the Shootouts. What's going on, dude?
Yo!
You know, I'm excited to get you on here. A lot of the listeners know I tend to focus on a little more punk and hardcore and things like that as far as artists goes, just because that's my wheelhouse. But I grew up on country music and I love country music. And so when Josh hit me up, I immediately dove in and was like, oh yeah, this guy knows his way around a Telecaster, so we're going to have to talk about this pretty extensively.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what about your backstory? That's what I really want to get into. When did you pick up the instrument, and what are some of your influences? Let's start there.
Sure, man. Yeah, so I actually don't remember when I started. I was a little kid. My dad got my mom one of those Epiphone, J45 cheapy acoustic guitars. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I was able to play. She had a little chord book full of Elvis songs, and it had little chord charts in there. I remember that. And anyway, I was learning how to play "Love Me Tender" in like a week or two. So that's how I first started. I actually am like I started out as a metal guitar player too.
Okay,
before the country thing, but Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen, that's pretty much where I learned all my chops from in the early days. But as I got older, I started playing in a bunch of cover bands, mostly country cover bands, and it pretty much took over my life after that. It just only been playing tellies. Started out with pointy guitars, and now I got a bunch of round ones.
Yeah, The pointy guitars are they're making a comeback. I feel like they were kind of maligned for a while, but now they're. I think I don't know if it's due to Stranger Things or what, but people are starting to play the pointy guitars again. So
yeah, Metallica's rad. Yes.
Yep. So you started to play in country cover bands, but you're not currently playing in a cover band. So how did that band form? How did the Shootouts get together?
Yeah, so I had a college professor, and he was playing with this pop rock singer-songwriter. His name's Ryan Humbert, and he was looking to go on the country side of things. And anyway, my teacher introduced me to this guy, and we hit it off immediately. We're just talking Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and all this awesome old school honky tonk music. And the Shootouts actually started as a cover band.
Okay.
Doing throwback stuff, and we're in Cleveland, Ohio, so there's not a ton of that stuff going on up here. And anyway, we did our first gig. It was like a bolt of lightning, dude. The crowd reaction and the way we felt about playing the music, it just connected immediately, and it grew from there. We made a demo record, probably I think it was around 2017, maybe 18. Of a handful of original tunes and some cover tunes, and we took off from there, man. Just kept on going with it.
You woke up one day and Marty Stewart was knocking on your door. Is that how that happened?
So we were opening for Marty at a theater in Warren, Ohio, and he actually approached me after the gig, and he was like, "Man, that was some killer guitar playing." And Kenny Vaughn came up, gave me their phone numbers, and it was insane. And anyway, I just shot him a question. It was like, "Hey, man, we're making this record right now. Would you be interested in playing on it?" And he said yes, man. Man of his word. So cool. Unreal moment. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, it was rad. We went to Nashville. He did an overdub. Got to hang out with Marty for a couple hours and got to play guitar with him. He ended up playing mandolin on the record, but it was unreal.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's not too often you get to meet a living legend like that, let alone get to collaborate with them. That's just awesome.
Yeah, Hall of Fame, country music Hall of Famer now too. Mm-hmm. Incredible. Yeah, and just a gentleman in every way.
That's awesome. So, what studio were you at in Nashville?
So we overdubbed with Marty at Sound Emporium.
Mm-hmm.
It's Johnny Cash is recorded there. Just this legendary studio.
Oh yeah.
And actually, when we walked in the studio, first thing Marty did was there's a bunch of photos on the wall, all the folks that have been there, and he picked up this picture of Johnny Cash. He's like, "I took that photo."
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. It was a really cool moment. And then we got a picture with Marty, and we're up there on that wall now, which is just insane. But so we did most of the tracking though here in Kent, Ohio. A friend of ours has a really, really nice home studio. All the craziest outboard gear you'll ever see, like probably millions of dollars in gear in there. But it's called Son of Moondog Studio. It's in Kent, Ohio. That's where we primarily did the record.
Some good friends of mine just moved from Nashville to Kent, Ohio. The folks from Big Ear Pedals. I don't know if you're familiar with.
No, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, they were in New York and they moved to Nashville, and now they're in Kent, Ohio. And I did a collaboration with them last year. It was a lot of people saw it, but it was a guitar pedal shaped like a piece of pizza. Because it's kind of a thing.
That's awesome. The pizza tone, greasy.
Oh man, well we'll get into that later. That's it's a big thing on this show. But I was like, Kent, Ohio. Why do I know Kent? Oh yeah, because Grant and Karen moved there. So pretty well known in the pedal world.
Yeah, for sure, man. I haven't heard of them. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, you should. They're good people. Well, speaking of pedals, like what does your typical rig look like for a Shootouts show?
Oh man,
that was a tongue twister. A Shootouts show. Shootouts
lots
show.
of S's. There, I did it. I have a super simple rig, man. I'm a Telly into a Princeton, or I go with the twin or a Fender amp, and then, dude, to be completely honest, my most expensive pedal is a Peterson tuner.
Well, hey, that's fine.
Yeah, and I do I like slapbacks. I don't use anything fancy. I use the Boss DD3 or man, what's the? I have the green one. It's the analog slapback. I forget what the name of it is.
Is it the carbon copy? The MXR
Carbon copy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I use that sometimes too. It just depends on the gig whether I want it to be a little bit, floody or vintage vibey or more precise.
Mm-hmm.
And I phase 90, pretending to be Waylon Jennings sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then I don't really use distortion, but I do have an Earthquaker Plumes on there if I want to be a rock and roll guy for a minute, you know what I mean? And I switch between that and a speaker cranker. The Earthquaker's out of Akron, so I know a couple guys up there and have messed with a handful of their distortion boxes, and those things are awesome. Yeah, the speaker cranker and the Plumes, awesome pedals.
100%. Love EQD. Love Jamie and Julie. They're fantastic. Yeah. So they've both been on the show before, and those are great episodes, everybody. If you haven't listened to those, go back and listen to those. Earthquaker is awesome. But back in the day, though, so this is something I like to get to with guests sometimes, is going through the evolution of the rig. So if you were playing Randy Rhoads and that type of thing back in the day, what was the old rig like?
So, yeah, I was a Mesa guy for a while. You ever heard of the Rocket amps that they had? They're rad. They're little combos. My amp was called the Rocket 44. I had one of those. I had a Stiletto and a Lone Star. So I went through the gamut with Mesa amps, and then pointy guitars, dude. I had the Jacksons, the Ibanez. I never had a BC Rich, but I think I had just about every version of a Jackson guitar because I loved Randy Rhoads so much. Nice. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Randy Rhoads. It's weird. It's not in frame here, but I've got a white Les Paul Custom, and everybody's always like, "Oh, Randy Rhoads," and like, admittedly, I love Randy Rhoads, but it was actually like listening to more like hardcore bands and stuff. They were always playing Les Paul Customs, and it was that era that got. But ironically, they were probably inspired by Randy Rhoads to pick those up in the first place. But everyone sees it like, yeah, Randy Rhoads. And I'm like, yeah, Randy Rhoads. That's the reason I have it. Sure. Dude,
I wanted a Les Paul, that cream color. I wanted one so bad. Just never could afford it. I was too young. I could definitely. Yeah, man. They're beautiful, beautiful guitar.
The listeners have heard this before, but customs are a weird one for me because I love Les Pauls and I have a few of them, and that's kind of like feels like home to me. But it took me a long time to find a custom that I actually liked more than my cheap special that I have. I would pick them up, and I don't know. I feel like customs are just very, very picky for some reason. I've probably played, I don't know, 15 or 20 different ones trying to find the right one over several years, over like 10 years. And I began to think like, well, maybe I don't like Les Paul Customs. Maybe I just like how they look. And then I found the one. So I accidentally bought it out from under from Bill from Mastodon. I didn't know that at the time, but
what? That's so cool. It's awesome, man.
He texted the store that I bought it from the picture of me holding it like, he's like, do you still have this guitar? I was like, no, that dork bought it. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little more about, like, I want to get into what's the process of writing for you guys look like? Are you the primary songwriter, or how does the song come together for your band?
Sure. So we're a big collaboration of songwriters in our band. So everybody, does something. I'm primarily the guy that makes all the hooks, but Ryan Humbert is primarily the songwriter. And there's another cat in the band that isn't playing with us anymore because of he has a back problem. He's a pedal steel player, also, incredible songwriter. We still rehearse at his house and everything. He's a part of the band. He's just not playing with us. His name's Al Moss, incredible songwriter. And again, it usually starts with a really simple song, and sometimes I take home the song and make my little tweedly-doos and the hooks and try to arrange, in country music, there's always a hillbilly horn part. Sure. So that's usually my job is to get all of that cool stuff on top. But yeah, I don't write any words or anything like that. And yeah, it is also cool. We do instrumental tunes in our band, and I write everything. I even write the drum parts out for for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big collaboration. I'm usually responsible for all the hooks and stuff like that.
Cool. When you're writing out drum parts, are you doing that, like, do you have a drum set there that you're working on, or are you programming them, or what are you doing?
Yeah, man, I really dig this program, Easy Drummer. It's so easy to use. They have really nice loops, and they have this really pretty sounding vintage Nashville kit in this little box, and there's brushes that actually sound like brushes. It's a really incredible little, I forget what it's called. It was like an add-on to the plugin. Mm-hmm. And I paid whatever, the $50 for it, and I use it more than any other tool, I think, in the DAW land. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but that's what I do. I just write it. I either find a loop I really like, or I edit it. I edit the things if there's little changes I want accented. But yeah, it's how I do it.
Very cool. Yeah, I still haven't used Easy Drummer yet, though. I keep almost pulling the trigger on it, and then I don't for some reason. So I'm just using like the built-in like Logic drummers and stuff, which are fine for basic, like, I got to do a 30-second pedal demo here. Like, those work fine for that, but it'd be cool to add some more flair to it. Easy Drummer seems like a way to
recommend
do
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's great. Probably, like I said, I think it's the best investment I ever made as far as a plugin goes. Incredible.
Plugins are something that I'm not like brand new to, but like slightly new to. I've always been this out of the box. I built this whole like ridiculous studio in like 2014 or so, because like the digital stuff just wasn't quite there yet. It was right on the cusp. That was like the year 2015 or so is when things started getting really good. And I built this whole thing, and it's double walled and all this, so I could crank my tube amps and just get loud and be ridiculous. And had digital stuff been as good as it is now, then I may have never ever built that. So like it would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, you can't beat the real thing. But
well, that's true.
Yeah,
my camera's being stupid here. Sorry. There we go. Stop focusing. There we go. That's annoying. But yeah, look, recently I got I'm good friends with Chris Benson at Benson Amps, and I got his plugin he did with Mixwave, and it's completely changed my workflow. Like, I'm not setting up mics for 2 hours and trying to get the phasing right and all that stuff anymore. I'm just like, plug in, play. Wow, that sounds great. I'm done. It's incredible what you can do.
Yeah, for demoing, man, you can't beat plug and play. I don't think it's just so fast. Especially, not the final product, but if you're demoing stuff, you can't beat it.
Yeah. Do you have any amp sims that you like?
I don't. I actually don't use amp sims. I prefer miking my amps, but I do have those. Have you heard of the Fender Tone Master series?
Yes.
So I have every Tone Master. That's how much I love this stuff.
Whoa.
So it's a direct out, straight into my little Apollo Twin over here. And then I have a preamp and a compressor, but just out of convenience for making demos or YouTube videos. That's what I use. It's kind of like an amp sim, but not really.
Sort of.
If that counts. Yeah.
I mean, it certainly is an easy solution. Like I played the deluxe reverb version, but I was really impressed with it. I don't have one, but maybe I'll get one.
Hi, I'm Vincent, and I'm here to talk about the Merit Mercury X. My dad's always going on and on about how cool Meris is. He really went off on one about the Mercury X the other day. He said something about a 4,800 hertz sample rate and 99 preset locations and 33 banks, and something along the lines of the most advanced reverb pedal ever devised by man? That's all true, but I only care about one thing. This pedal sounds sick. So make sure you check out the Mercury X and all the other fine products at Maris.us. as well as fine retailers worldwide. All right, Dad, now can I have my Pocky?
How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services. And it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there.
Yeah, check out. They just came out with. Yeah, they just came out with the Princeton. I think it was this year. I got the Princeton. It's probably the most impressive out of all of them. I think it is identical. And you can play at 1 watt in your bedroom and not, mess with your neighbors. It's awesome.
Do you play shows with it?
Yeah, always.
Wow.
I have a real print. A real one, a silver face from the 70s. But I much prefer to bring the Tonemaster. I could beat it up, and it doesn't matter. There's no tubes to get destroyed. And dude, the sound men freaking love it. It is, it's the most. To me, it's the most important thing. That the audience has a nice experience. It's not all about yourself up there. But yeah, man, it's a great amp for gigging. It's unreal. It sounds so good in the house. That's what. Yeah. Can't sell it enough about that. It's insane.
Do you, when you play live with the Princeton, are you using the line out on it, or are you miking that up?
Yeah, line out,
wow.
Direct out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome.
When you use the direct out on it, can you still hear sound through the speaker, or does it bypass the speaker?
Yeah, you could use the speaker, or you can bypass the speaker. Yeah, I play at 1 watt sometimes. It depends on the show, If you're in a tiny little club, but there's a big PA in there, you don't have to crank your amp and destroy everybody's ears. And the sound man could adjust everything. Shootouts are a really quiet band, and playing traditional country music. You know what I mean? So not out there rocking super hard.
Yeah,
but yeah, man,
you guys can rock pretty hard sometimes. I've heard it, at least on the recording.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we definitely do rock, but we try to save each other's ears. Playing 30 dates in a row together, it's trying to save everybody's ears. Getting to be old, worried about our hearing.
It's important, man. And I was just talking to my friend Brian Wampler the other day about this, because he's playing with a band, and he, was like, some of the guitar players in that band, they don't want to use any kind of in-ear monitors or ear protection or anything, and they're playing kind of some louder bars and stuff, and they're making fun of him because he's putting in ear protection. And he's like, hey, like, you guys may be okay with losing your hearing. He's like, if I lose my hearing, I'm out of a job. Like, I can't design guitar pedals if I can't hear what they sound like. He's like, I guess if I was doing something else for a living, if I was a librarian, it wouldn't matter that much. But yeah, it's funny that stigma still exists. Like, come on, it's rock and roll. You gotta not hear later. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I got over that real quick, man. Yeah, I prefer a quiet band. I like drummers that are respectful. They're not just the hard. I mean, I love Dave Grohl's playing and stuff, but I don't know if I'd want to be next to his kit playing with him. It's important. You got to save your ears, man. It's your primary source of taking everything in. And high-end hearing loss. I'm only 30, and I definitely noticed the high-end hearing loss already. It's nuts.
Yeah, I got some of that from my old job, actually. It was I was a diesel mechanic, and they would regularly test us. And it was, as soon as I started testing, like, oh, like you definitely have a bit of high end loss. It wasn't bad, but it was like you have some mild high end loss. That freaked me out. And so it was always just like earplugs. Like, I'm not going to lose my hearing due to this stupid engine. It's not worth it. Like, I was always putting in earplugs. If I'm not gonna have good hearing, it's gonna be because of a concert, not because of I was using a hammer. That's just stupid.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
So have you gotten the opportunity to, other than the obvious Marty Stewart, have you gotten the opportunity to go on any interesting tours or meet other people that you never thought you were going to meet?
Oh man. So with this band, we've worked with some pretty rad folks. Are you familiar with Jim Campilongo?
Oh, I know the name. Yes, I do.
Oh, he is my favorite guitar player in the world. And we got to make a record with Jim Campilongo and Luca Benedetti. They're like a duo, two of the best guitar players in the world, in my opinion. Our first record's called Quick Draw, and they produced that. And I got to play guitar with one of my heroes. That was an incredible experience. Our second record's called Bullseye. Chuck Mead is from BR549. He produced that record. We got to do a couple shows with him. That's one of my favorite honky-tonk bands of all time. And Stampede is produced by Ray Benson of Asleep at the Wheel. And so this year we've been out. I think we did 10 shows with Asleep at the Wheel. That's are you familiar with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Western swing band. Incredible. And so we've been playing theaters, man, for thousands of people with Asleep at the Wheel.
Wow.
It's been, I've never been in a theater band, so it was just incredible to get to have that opportunity to do that with those guys.
That is really cool. Was it intimidating to go play guitar with some of your heroes? Because like me, it took me a long time even to just be able to play in front of anybody without just falling apart. But obviously you're very experienced. You're a very good guitarist. But did you have any butterflies in those moments?
Oh my goodness. When I met Jim, I was terrified. I was so scared. And he's the chillest, most relaxed dude of all time. And I'm sitting there all twisted up like, I can't play notes in front of this guy. Because I'm pretty much a rip-off of Jim. That's how I think of myself. I try to emulate his playing more than anyone else. And anyway, he was the coolest person and like a mentor in a way. He gave me a list of records to check out and books to study guitar, what he did when he was coming up. But yeah, man, it ended up being really cool, but I was terrified to play in front of Jim.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
What were some of those books for the listeners at home?
Ooh, let me pull these. I actually got them sitting over here.
Oh, convenient. It's like we planned it. We didn't though.
Yeah, we didn't. I have my I practice every day. This is an incredible book. Jay Friedman's Guitar Chords, Arpeggios, and Studies. Have you ever seen this book?
I have. Yes. I've never opened it, but I've seen it.
And it's kind of dummy proof. They give you these little examples with the block chords, where to put your fingers. And anyway, it's just a huge book of arpeggio studies. Every chord, it's kind of like the Ted Green book where it has every inversion of that you could ever think of.
Oh yeah, I have that one.
Yeah, the chord chemistry. It's kind of like that, except it's all arpeggios. This is one of the coolest books I've ever read. I think I learned more from this book than I did going to college. Yeah, man. This is a great book. And you hip to Mickey Baker?
No.
Yeah, it's a country guy. He has this record called Wildest Guitar. You should check it out. It's a crazy sounding record. Anyway, he has a study book. It's jazz, chord shapes, progressions, arpeggios again, recommended by Jim. This is an incredible book. It's a little bit harder because it's all in normal sheet music. You have to be able to read to learn everything from this book.
Oh, I can kind of. It'll take me like 4 hours to figure out the first three notes, but I can figure it out. F A C E. I'm so bad at it. So bad.
Yeah, I'm the same. I read every day, but I'm not I can't sight read, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you get better, you know, the more you do it. I try to learn one song from the real book, like every day, working on my reading. But yeah, those are the two that, let me see, do I have any other ones in here? Oh, I got some pedal steel books. I'm a pedal steel player too.
Oh, geez. That's one of my favorite sounding instruments on the planet. I absolutely
Same.
love pedal steel. And I'm absolutely terrified to buy one and try it because I'm like, that's an expensive thing that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get my head around or not.
Dude, there's some great lessons out there now. Paul, you know who Paul Franklin is?
Mm-mm.
Oh, the pedals, probably the foremost pedal steel player alive right now.
Okay.
He has a whole course. You could learn everything ever about the pedal steel from his online course. So yeah, I wouldn't be too scared. There's plenty of resources out there nowadays. It's crazy how much it's changed in like 5-6 years because of the internet.
What kind of pedal steel do you have?
I have two. I have a 10-string Nashville LTD. I believe the guy that made that guitar is from the Emmons Company, and he went off and did his own thing. It's a beautiful guitar. It's just like an Emmons guitar. It's 4x3, 4 knee levers, 3 pedals, and it's tuned to E9, a standard. You know, what you doing all the standard Nashville sound and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a ZB guitar. Zane Beck is the guy that built those guitars. Tom Brumley from the Buck Owens band he was a ZB guy. I found this guitar it was in a barn for probably 30 years.
Whoa.
And it's in impeccable shape, other than some of the rods underneath rusted out. It's a double neck. It's got a C6 neck and an E9 neck up top. And I think how many? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got 8 pedals underneath and 4 knee levers. It's a wild sounding guitar, and it has these weird pickups in it. I believe one pickup was changed, but it's from the 60s, man. It sounds wild. It's a wild sounding pedal steel guitar.
That's so cool. So this is an entirely selfish and self-serving question, but for a mediocre guitarist who's thinking about getting into pedal steel like myself, where would I even begin? I know I like how they sound, but like I don't know the first place. Like where even to look? What should I look for?
There's plenty of research. Have you ever? There's this website. It's called the Pedal Steel Guitar Forum.
Oh well, of course there is.
Of course, and it's all the heavy. I mean, the pedal steel world's pretty small.
Sure.
So like all the famous cats are in the forum chatting about for parts, talking about players. It's a really awesome resource, and you could go down the list on there's a little side tab. Whatever you want to know about pedal steel guitar is in that website, on that forum.
Very nice.
Used guitars, lessons, anything like that. That's where you should start if you're interested in checking out the pedal steel guitar. It is so much fun to play, and it's an addiction too. As a warning, it's so much fun, to play.
Oh yeah, I don't have a tendency to get addicted to musical things at all, so that won't be a problem for my wallet. I'm sure it'll be totally fine. We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby, because let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss And good hurts. Well, it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about lossing, I'd invite you to head over to chaseflintsaudio.com. I think you're going to like what you find.
Do you, this sounds kind of weird to say, do you play pedal steel with pedals at all? Do you like use any reverb or delay on it, or do you just kind of go straight in and let it rock?
Yeah, I'm super simple, man. I'm a kind of a traditionalist in that, yeah, I plug straight in. Most important pedal is the tuner to me.
Sure, of course, of course.
Yeah, and I love reverb on pedal steel. Who does it? And delay's really nice too, but used in the right way. Slap back again, not old school like that. I just really like the classic pedal steel tone.
Very nice.
Really clean. Yeah.
Very nice. So yeah, so this is a bit of a segue from the traditional stuff that we were talking about. But do you listen to much of anything else these days? I know you said you started as a metalhead and ended up as a country guy. But what do you like when you're feeling feisty? What are you putting on these days?
Oh yeah, I mean I love country music so much, but I still am a metalhead. I think Meshuggah might be my favorite metal band of all time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I freaking love Meshuggah. Yeah, in Periphery and Animals as Leaders, I'm kind of into that prog thing, that metal prog thing. It grooves, man. It grooves so hard. Actually, I got to see Meshuggah at Ozfest. Man, probably I was a young kid. I was probably 18 years old. Tightest band I've ever seen in my entire life. It was the most disgusting show, crushing show.
Yes,
I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's a strange thing for a country music guy to be into that, but I definitely am. It's awesome.
You know what? I don't think it's as weird as it sounds, because I know a lot of metalheads that are like, specifically, shout out Jason. You know who I'm talking to right now. He's into everything heavy. Black metal, like all kinds of stuff, just everything super heavy. And he's a moderator in the Tone Mob Facebook group. And me and the other moderator, we like that stuff too, but he also knows that we're big country music fans. And so he's like, all right, guys, I don't even know where to start. Like, what do I do? And we're like, Merle Haggard. Like, you're going to listen to Merle Haggard. And turns out, yeah, Merle, Waylon, like it all seems to translate for some reason. Like there's a lot of mutual respect, I feel like, in those two worlds for some reason. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't, on the surface of it, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does seem that there's a connection there somewhere.
Oh, there's definitely a punk rock connection in country music. It's a kind of have you ever heard of cowpunk? That genre?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's a really cool connection there. I mean, it's pretty much rock and roll, but with the country twang.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a really cool genre of music too. I mean, Shootouts we go in that vein sometimes.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of punk rocky. I mean, there's definitely a connection between rock and roll and country music. It's interchangeable. I mean, they're both based in the same foundation. So music's music, man.
That's true. It's always weird to me to think about, like, because drums are just so central to pretty much everything that I listen to, including country. And I sometimes forget that their drums were like not allowed in the Grand Ole Opry for a long time. It's hard to even imagine, right? Isn't that so weird?
Well, when you listen to old Hank Williams songs, hey, good looking, it sounds like there's a drummer.
Yes.
It does. And it's just Hank playing, chucking along on his acoustic guitar there. It sounds just like a drum set. I mean, I think he was getting away with it, but yeah, they wouldn't allow drums then. It's just nuts. And same thing with bluegrass music. It sounds like there's a drum going on with the mandolin doing the backbeats and whatnot. But yeah, unreal that wouldn't have let the drummer on Grand Ole Opry.
I can't remember who the first one to do it was. Was it Hank Williams?
I don't know for sure. I think I do know. I think it's Ernest Tubb.
Oh, yes. I think you're right about that.
I think it's Ernest Tubb with the Texas Troubadours. They wanted electrified amps and a drummer.
Yeah. Speaking of this, this is another random aside, but somebody was asking me about this. Oh, yes, it was a listener posted something that said they were listening to Townes Van Zandt, and they were like, I didn't know I had this bone in my body. And I was just like, told my wife, I was like, I think Townes is, how some people are like, those video games, they're ruining the kids, or everyone's always blaming some sort of media for something. I love Townes Van Zandt, but I think he's like the only one that's like genuinely a little bit dangerous to listen to if you're not feeling that great.
Sure.
It's such an intense songwriting process, and I've heard of people like who got depressed and they're like, I had to stop listening to Townes for a while because it really it'll drag you down into the depths. I don't know very many other songwriters of any genre that could do that.
Oh yeah, John Prine has some weepers, man. He writes some of the saddest music.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I think Jason Isbell writes some of the saddest songs too. Unreal. Oh, yeah, there's some writers, man. They seem so happy, but they write the saddest music. Yeah. Townes for sure. Another one of those. It comes off. He came off kind of as a sad guy from the things I've seen online.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Jason is probably the first songwriter that I can remember where like I was fine. I was just driving in my car on the way to work one day, and I played his new record had just come out, and I was like, oh, what's this If We Were Vampires song? I'll put this on. Okay. And I just started just weeping like a baby. And I called my wife. I was like, don't listen to this. You're going to cry. And then she's like, why'd you tell me not to listen to it? Now I've listened to it. Now I'm crying too. Yeah, Jason's absolutely incredible with that. He's an amazing guitar player too.
Oh man, just so good. Yeah. I am really excited. I'm good friends, and he sponsors the show with Joel at Chase Bliss, the pedal company. And Jason has a massive drawer on his live rig that's full of Chase Bliss pedals. But I've never really heard that in his music, even when I've seen him live. But I know he has it. I've seen the rig rundowns. I've always wondered how he implements those kind of weird, crazy sounds, because I don't know if you played any Chase Bliss pedals or have really looked into them, but no, I haven't.
They're really insane. Like there's all kinds of crazy like loopers that you can like degrade and make things granular and run back into itself. Cool. Things you've never really thought that you would want to do, but once you do it, it's pretty wild. Some people are like, oh, they're bleep bloop machines, and like that's kind of true with you can make them do that. I just don't know what Jason does with all those things. He's got one of the biggest live rigs I've ever seen as far as pedals go, but his songs are usually pretty
simple. And his guitar tone isn't. Yeah, he's kind of got like he sounds like Neil Young sometimes to me when he's playing that Les Paul. But yeah, man, he just sounds like a straight up rocker most of the time. I've seen him a couple times with the Les Paul rig, man. It huge sound coming out of that guitar.
Absolutely. So what do you think the future has in store for the Shootouts? Like what is your guys' ultimate goal? Is there you have some sort of aspirations? You're like, I want to sell out Red Rocks, or like what are you guys planning on? Yeah, man. I mean, we're a traditional honky tonk band. So, Red Rocks would be a dream. I mean, we would be happy to break into the theater, crowd. We would be content with that, making a living touring theaters. To sell 1,000 tickets, or that would be amazing, and be able to travel around and do that.
But I mean, we're playing the Grand Ole Opry on February 24th.
I was gonna say
we hit a milestone. It's unreal. I can't believe it's happening. I can't be more excited about anything in the world. I've always dreamt of playing the Grand Ole Opry. It's just an honor to have the opportunity to do that. But yeah, man, hoping to play theater gigs. That's the biggest goal.
I think that's really doable. I mean, I know it may sound kind of weird. You're like, we're a traditional country band. I don't see that happening. But like, I feel like now more than ever, there's a real hunger for that stuff. I think the general population has finally gotten kind of sick of the bro country thing, at least seemingly. And now we're seeing people like Charlie Crockett, like really hitting it like pretty big. And I mean, Tyler Childers, which is like a different thing than what you guys are doing, obviously, but it's in the same spirit, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think I think now is the time for this stuff to start finally turning people's ear, you know? I saw Zach Bryan this summer at just here in my backyard. He's like 15 minutes from my house playing this like local show. I'm not kidding. There was like 30,000 people there for that guy. It was insane. Insane. I didn't realize how popular he was. I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. And I went to the show and there was a bunch of other bands playing that I wanted to see. And there was, you know, a couple hundred to a couple thousand people watching each one because it was kind of a festival. And when Zach Bryan came on, you couldn't move. There was no room in it's outdoor venue. There was so many people there. I don't even know how many people were actually there. It was a festival that sold out, which doesn't happen all that often. You know, it was completely full.
Crazy. He's TikTok, right? Is that where he blew up?
That was where he first started. Yeah, just playing on TikTok and YouTube, Yeah, I think that's It sounds weird to say it's the future when it's been a thing for a long time, but he's the best example that I could see of somebody who really exploded beyond that, but utilizing those platforms to get to where he is now.
Yeah, I think he was on Yellowstone or something. Yeah, it's crazy. All from TikTok or YouTube. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm. Well, you do a little bit of YouTube in yourself, right?
Yeah, I post transcriptions of really old tunes that, you know, a lot of folks haven't heard before. I really enjoy doing that, trying to share stuff that folks never heard of. You hip to Jimmy Bryant and Hank Garland and all those great country guitar players?
Hank Garland, I know. Yeah, I know some of them. I'm not as well versed as you are, but I'm somewhat more familiar than your average person, probably.
Yeah, man. So I really enjoy going through those old Hank Garland. They're country jazz. I don't even know what kind of genre you would call it. It's almost country music, but it's not. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like a puzzle learning these tunes. And I do it for myself, you know. But I ended up taking those transcriptions and posting them. With like a little bouncing ball, you know, the tablature, playing along with it. And I share these transcriptions and I make backing tracks for these tunes and just post it up all for free on my website. So, I mean, there's lots of great Hank Garland, Jimmy Bryant transcriptions. I even take Texas Troubadours pedal steel tunes and transpose them to guitar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, man. And it's a blast. I think it's the best way to learn to play the guitar is stealing from other people. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's something I need to do I was going to say a little bit, but a lot more of. I haven't really sat down and intentionally learned anyone else's music in a very long time, like very long time. So to the point where it's kind of embarrassing, but people will be like, "Hey, play a song." And I'm like, I don't know any songs. I know a lot of random riffs that I made up myself, but I can let's see. I think I can remember how to play "Smells Like Teen Spirit." What other songs do I know? If we make it through December, I guess I could probably fumble my way through that one. I barely know any songs anymore, so I kind of need to go back to stealing from other people to expand my vocabulary because it's becoming apparent that I'm getting a little stale.
Yeah, dude, learn something steal something from a keyboard player you really like and try to play it on that's what I really enjoy doing. I steal so many pedal steel guitar licks. It's insane. Just find the thing you like and try ripping it off, man. That's I get so much material that way. It's insane.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, man, we've been at this for a little bit, and we're not quite to the end of the episode, but I do feel like this is a good point to where before I get into the classic questions, where we wrap this thing up. This is where I like to give the guests the opportunity to take the floor and say whatever they want to say, shout out whoever they want to shout out, and if they want to, shout out their grandma, or if they want to, get a message out to a few thousand people right now, the floor is yours to say whatever you want to say before we get into the classic questions.
Sure. Yeah. Check out shootoutsmusic.com. We have a full tour coming up all the way through, I think June we have dates. We're playing all over the country. Come see us at a show. Our record Stampede comes out February 24th. It'll be available on all the streamers. You can head to shootoutsmusic.com, pick up a vinyl, a CD, a t-shirt, a hat, anything to support the band. It would mean the world to us. Grand Ole Opry debut on February 24th, the same day the record drops. I believe you could catch that at the Circle, their streaming platform for the Grand Ole Opry. I'm sure we'll post something on the website too. So excited about the record to come out. Please check out our stuff.
Yeah, and really do, people. It's very, very good. That is why Brian's on the show today, because I do get hit up fairly frequently from media people, and I don't always get to everybody because I'm just one guy. But as soon as I heard their music, I was like, yeah, I got to get this guy on. This rips. So everyone, go check out the Shootouts. Do it now. Finish this episode, then go check out the Shootouts. Your ears will thank you. It's good stuff. It really is. All right, so the final questions. The first one, you might be able to answer this fairly quickly. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Ooh, Boss. The tuner? No, I like
everybody says that.
I like the DD3. I use it all the time.
The DD3. Yeah. The DD3 it just sounds fantastic. I know it's simple, it's straightforward. I love the sound of the DD3. And I just made a video on my Instagram the other day of the original DD2 versus the long chip DD3. I'm pretty sure the internet rumors are true. I think they're the same exact pedal. They have the same controls. The only difference is like a 2 and a 3. I'm 99% sure that these are identical pedals. I pulled them apart. I didn't totally disassemble them, but I looked inside and was like, I think these are the same. So yeah, it was fun. Just kind of a back-to-back clip the other day, but yeah, DD3, good choice. I like it. Now this is the question that gets a little dicey. Remember I told you we were going to talk about pizza, right?
I love pizza.
Pizza's wonderful. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Ooh, I prefer sausage over pepperoni. That's offensive to some people. I don't care. Sausage pizza. Yeah, just plain sausage pizza, man.
I don't find that offensive at all. I mean, I love pepperoni. I think pepperoni is a crowd pleaser for a reason. It's delicious. Mm-hmm. But there are times where I'm like, no, I need something more substantial. I need some spice, extra spice. I need some more thickness on there. And I will go for a nice Italian sausage. It's really an undersung hero, I think, a little bit in the pizza world.
For sure. 100%. Are you thin crust guy?
Generally speaking, yeah. I like a thin crust. I like New York style. Constantly,
New York's
wanting to go
grease, man.
I constantly want to go back to New York City all the time. I love New York City pizza. But recently, I've been kind of getting into Detroit style a little bit, which is obviously a lot thicker.
Is the sauce on top? Is that how Detroit style is?
So no, the sauce isn't not necessarily on top. Well, I'm sure there are some places that do that, but it's like it's a fairly thick crust. It's like a half inch or so. It's if it's done right, it's not dense. It's like really airy in there. So it seems like, oh no, this is going to be a lot to eat, but it's actually just like nice and fluffy. And then they cook it in a pan. And if you get the corner piece, it's just like all this cheese that just gets encrusted and grilled into it. It's just such a nice experience. But it's not something, when I'm craving pizza, that's not really what I'm thinking about. Like, I'm not thinking about, I really want a Detroit pizza. If I'm really craving pizza, it's like an Italian, like wood-fired thing that I'm craving, or a New York style pizza. So,
yeah. Wood-fire pizza is so good.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
Got a good spot in this town. So if you ever come through, let me know and I'll get you the good pizza. I know where to point you.
Heck yes.
Yeah. So I take that to mean, I went on a tangent there, but I take that to mean you're a thin crust guy as well.
Yeah, for the most part. New York's greasy. The greasier the better, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You want to shout out any favorite Ohio pizzeria?
Oh, there's a place here I order almost weekly.
Yeah.
Blaziola's, man. It's only in Streetsboro, though. I live in a town called Streetsboro. It's a really small mom and pop shop, but it's great pizza.
Perfect. Hey, those are sometimes like the ideal places in my book. The mom and pop, single location, like this.
Yeah.
We've been doing it this way since Grandpappy came from Italy and showed us how it was done.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun. I really I got edumacated. Got to know you a little bit better, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Blake. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Well, maybe we'll slide over to Patreon and we'll get a little bit weird. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, everybody. For Brian, this is Blake, and also, as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, there you have it, folks. Another episode in the can. Thank you, as always, for checking out this podcast. I really appreciate it. And if you want more, the place to go is Patreon. And if you want to hear Brian and I get into cars, because oh boy, do we get into cars, you can go to patreon.com/tonemob. And for $5 a month, you can get access to all of those bonus episodes, which are numerous. There are hundreds of hours of content back there for you. And if you love this show and you want to help keep it going, that is an easy way to do it. And it's actually much less than an average cup of coffee these days, which is weird to say. It used to be about the same price as a cup of coffee, but now it's less than a Starbucks. So if you could do that, that would mean a lot to me. And if you also want the show, but you're just kind of tired of the ad format, which I do understand, but hey, my kids got to eat, you can go to patreon.com for $3 a month, and you can get access to the ad-free feed where you will have no interruptions whatsoever. And I appreciate everyone that supports over there. It really does mean a lot to me, and it really does move the needle in a big way and help me keep doing this. I tell you, that got me through some pretty difficult times. There were definitely some months in years past where that made the difference between being able to record an episode that week or having to do something else to put food on the table. So thank you so much to everybody that's doing that. It really, really, really is huge. And if you can't do that, I totally understand. But if you could, share this with somebody. Please share this with somebody. Please, anyone you think might get something out of it, anyone you think would enjoy these conversations, please share this with them. It really, really does help a lot. Last year, the Tone Mob podcast was in the top 5% of shows shared on Spotify. Not top 5% listened, but top 5% of shared. And that is huge. That is absolutely huge because there are millions of podcasts out there. And I really appreciate you sharing this show with whoever you think might enjoy it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I will talk to you on the internet very soon. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.
This is the story of Whitney Houston.
This is the story of Kurt Cobain.
Of George Michael, of Otis Redding, of Amy Winehouse, of Michael Hutchence, Bob Marley. This is the story of Prince.
It's a new podcast series
about how they died, why they died, and why we're still talking about them so long after.
It's like nothing you've ever heard before.
It's storytelling.
But it's more than that, because rock stars,
they tell us how we feel. They change our mood.
They change the clothes we wear, the people we hang out with,
the way we remember things.
It's them who give us those ludicrous moments, the ones where you're
jumping around, singing your heart out, feeling understood.
And it's those moments we'll help you remember, the ones you're thinking about right now.
That feeling.
That feeling.
It's coming soon from Crowd Network.
Just search for Death of a Rock Star on your podcast app.
And subscribe now.
Hey everyone, this is Tuck from Fit for a King, an off-road minivan. Every week I bring you fun interviews alongside your favorite metalcore entertainers with my new podcast, Get Tucked. Join me every Monday with bands like Counterparts, Crystal Lake, like Moths to Flames, and many more. We play unsigned and undiscovered bands, deep dive into each artist's history, and of course provide the greatest breakdowns in current metalcore. Tune in to Get Tucked every Monday, out now through Sound Talent Media.